Welcome to the McAllister Report. We join John McAllister, top football evaluator, as he shares wisdom and interviews coaches and athletes from around the country. Enjoy today's podcast.
Hello, this is John McAllister with the John McAllister Report. And today my guest is a newly retired head football coach from Olentangy Liberty High School, Steve Hale. Steve Hale is coached at Olentangy, started the program at Olentangy Liberty 20 years ago. Highly successful. I think he 175 wins, but what I really liked about him is he's a first-class person. He's an excellent coach, and he just has the it factor. And I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss him on the sidelines, but looking forward to talking to him today. Excited, to be honest with you, because like I said earlier, great coach, great motivator, and I really am looking forward to hearing him speak. So sit back and please listen to Steve Hale, the newly retired head football coach at Olentangy High School. Steve Hale, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Just excited to be part of this, and great opportunity to catch back up with you. And we've known each other for a long time.
I think you go back to even, I remember seeing you at Shelby.
Yeah, the Shelby days. That's where the head coaching all started, 97.
That's good. And I think you beat up my son. I think he was senior that year.
Yeah, Upper Sandusky, right?
Upper Sandusky, yeah.
Yes. We had a really good team in 98 for sure. 97 was a solid team, but our 98 team at Shelby was fantastic.
They were pretty good. Pretty good. Well, Steve, let's start obviously with the purpose that, other than just, I highly respect you as a football coach. I mean, sometimes, I always get a kick out of this when they'll say, okay, who are the best coaches? And they always go with best programs. Well, sometimes the best coaches aren't necessarily winning championships every year, if that makes sense.
Oh, sure.
I really believe that. So your announcement is you're retiring, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And tell me a little bit about that, if you would.
Yeah, sure. We just, I'd been here at Liberty for 20 years. I've been teaching and coaching for the past 34 years. And, my wife and I, the last 3 or 4, we've been looking at this possibility when it would occur. The last son that I had played for me, he was part of the 2020 season, the whole COVID mess, and graduated in 21. So stuck around for the 21 season, the 22 season. Really enjoyed the teams that we had those years. And, this past year we made it back to the regional finals again and had a great group. And really we have a great group coming back. So we're leaving it, with the cupboards are, I wouldn't say completely full, but they're certainly not bare.
Right.
There's a solid team coming back. So just sat down with my wife and thought about where we were as a family and where we wanted to go from this point forward. And, we kind of talked it through and, we just came to the conclusion that this would be a good time to step away. This would be a good time to provide an opportunity for someone else. And, just made that decision and, spoke with the team about a month ago and let them know that's the direction we were going in and our administration, obviously. And, just decided that was the right path for our family at this time, and really excited about the opportunity we're providing for one of our assistants here is going to step up and take over.
It's really good. I will tell you, I talk to you about every year. I think the Glenville game, or I usually see you every year. And before the games, I think every last 3 or 4 years, you've kind of going, well, I'm getting a little bit older. And you didn't tell me drastic news that you were quitting over the years, but I could tell. I mean, it wears on you. You're human. 20 years as a head football coach, and no matter what they tell you, and I was a head football coach, they say, well, you go to church, you're thinking about football. I mean, you can't help that. You go every time you're thinking during the season anyway. And now it's a year-round job. And I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's a year-round job.
Yeah, it's just the nature of the way things are. When John Sansbury got hired this past about a week ago, we talked quite a bit through it. And one comment I made to him, I said, "Welcome to guilt, and the guilt that you feel every time you're doing something personally that's not making your football program better." And I don't know that people that aren't head football coaches understand that feeling when you allow yourself to be somewhere else mentally, or to be somewhere else physically, and you're not doing anything in terms of mentally or physically to make your program better. And you know that probably people are somewhere. It's an interesting dynamic in your head when you go through that. What's
also, you're a high quality guy. And the other guilt is sometimes when you're spending so much time on football and you don't get enough time with the family and everything. Or
100%. So, yeah, balancing that. Yeah.
Coaches can't win.
No, it's really hard.
The high quality guys. I mean, they believe that. Not everybody probably, but I'm sure you do and stuff. Well, Steve, I couldn't find any history on you as far as, take me back. Where did you go to high school?
Well, I grew up in East Liverpool, Ohio. Went to Beaver Local High School back in the mid 80s, graduated in 1885. Played football there. Growing up, I played a bunch of different sports. It's an area where that's all you do. Kids grow up playing sports, football, baseball, basketball, all these different things, being involved with track, that kind of stuff. And so, was able to play well in high school, to get some college interest, small college, and had some choices at the Division III level, a little bit of Division II stuff, but not serious enough that it drew my attention. And then ended up going to Muskingum College. Played there from 85 to 89 for Jeff Haycock. Had a great experience. Really learned about, being a better student, being a better athlete, being more disciplined with my life, and certainly put me off in a direction. And then after graduating from Muskingum in 1989, Coach Haycock somehow had found out that a guy by the name of Ed Terwilliger was looking for coaches and teachers at the Olentangy School District, and reached out to Ed and was able to get involved in an interview at Olentangy and got a teaching job, got a coaching job. Spent 8 wonderful years working with him. And
whoa, 8 years with Coach Terwilliger?
100%. Yeah.
Your heart. I hope he sees this. Your heart just started beating harder. No, he's a very good man.
Oh, he's amazing.
You all know I'm joking.
Oh yeah, we had so much fun, and he took a program that was almost non-existent. Right. And I think it took us 3-4 years to get to the state playoffs, and turn that program into a respected and program that would go to the playoffs just about every year. And then from that, moving up from being a position coach, coordinator, basically taking on just about every job Ed would give me. I parlayed that into becoming a head coach. And my first head coaching position was in Shelby, Ohio, back in '97 in the old NOL, and great. I couldn't have asked for a better first head coaching job. The town,
heck of a program.
The administration, just how first class everything was done up there, allowed me to develop as a head coach and develop those skills and a football culture. I mean, it's really a strong athletic football culture up there.
Right. And a brand new school, brand new football stadium. I think they're even building an indoor facility at Shelby of some sorts.
Yes, I think so.
So, Coach, when did the light come on? I mean, I knew probably as a freshman in high school, I wanted to teach and coach football. I've been very fortunate myself to be a head coach more than once. But anyway, when did the light come on for you, Steve? When did you say, man, I want to get into this?
Really wasn't until college for me. In high school, I didn't do the, and I had siblings, and none of them had really gone to college. They had gone right to work either in the potteries or the steel mills, which were in that area. And that option was kind of going away. in the mid to late, early 80s there. And so my opportunity to go to Muskingum kind of came out of nowhere. Just the fact that they were reaching out to me in terms of football. My academics were okay, but not great. And so I was able to get myself in and, through tons of hard work. And there were some people there, besides Coach Haycock, Jim Cope, my position coach, really did a lot of the saving. I mean, because I wasn't all that prepared coming off of that background. Right. And there were some professors there, Dr. Porter in the history department, people that took me under their wing and really helped me understand what would be needed to be successful at a place like Muskingum. And, it took a while, the process. But when I first got there, business world, I thought, well, I'll just go and, get a business degree and look at that. But then as I became more and more impacted by, these coaches and professors, then I thought maybe, this other avenue would be worthy of pursuing. And I'd always loved the game, I'd always, played and studied coaches and looked at that kind of stuff, but I never even considered that avenue. And then when I got to my, junior and senior year, started doing the, the education classes, the student teaching and all that stuff, that I realized that this would be something I'd be really excited about. And just had great mentors along the way that really helped guide me.
As we're talking about that, I always think back, I interviewed Coach Tressel a couple of times, but one of the things he told me once, it's not where you work, it's who you work for. And, you're talking about the Haycocks. I mean, there's a whole 3 of them that are pretty good coaches and quality people. And I think that's so huge. So you were able to work with a guy like him. I mean, play under him, I mean. And,
just, big direction, just giving me direction,
exactly.
Holding me accountable. You had to be somewhere, you had to be on time, you had to do things the right way. And I don't know that I'd really understood that before, because in high school and coming up through, things had come pretty easily.
Yeah.
And so these new challenges, new situations, it created a lot of anxiety. I mean, I had days where I didn't know if I'd be back there, but I just kept plugging and kept going. And the people, that I didn't want to disappoint, I kept working to achieve and prove that I could be worthy of being there. And, eventually it all paid off, but it was a long and bumpy road. I can tell you that.
And it made you a pretty good person. I mean, sometimes those bumpy roads cause bruises, but they heal up.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about just what makes a good coach, not a head coach. What qualities does a good coach have to have?
Well, I think the biggest thing are guys that are willing to be team players. I like guys that are ambitious. I mean, if a guy comes in and tells me, I want to be a head coach in 5 years, 10 years, whatever. Okay. Let's sit down. Let's make a diagram of where you need to go and what you need to do, what you need to work on to get you on that path. Guys that are willing to do a lot of work and not expect a whole lot of credit. They're getting more difficult to find. Those guys that, the funniest things, like, the guy that wants to know how to fix a helmet, the guy that wants to know how to properly size shoulder pads, the guy that wants to know all those little things, are the guys that you're most excited about it, because they can just do everything, because not every program has, 10 equipment guys running around and all these different people that are taking care of all the little things. I think if you want to become a head coach, you better know how everything works. Wow. From putting on a helmet to, what the, pads are worth and buying equipment and ordering T-shirts.
Back in the old days, putting lines on the field.
Oh yeah. I was just in the pattern of
done that.
Yeah.
Years ago.
When I came up in, those were things that were being done.
Right.
But just, and I think sometimes, you kind of mentioned that, like breaking down film and working through, like Huddle does so much for us now.
Oh.
I'm not sure it's helping our younger coaches and understanding how what an offensive coordinator is going to call on 3rd and 4, because you've typed that play in 6 times, and then you don't even need to see it the 7th time. You can just say it before they tell you. Young coaches are missing that a little bit because they're, this huddle stuff, these huddle assists and all that kind of stuff are breaking all the film down for us. And guys aren't putting that kind of time in. And that's where you learn really good football, because then you get really great coaches. Right. And you're breaking down their film, like the Brian Whites or somebody like that, Mark Crabtree's, all these guys that I've had to go against over the years, and going all the way back up to, Ed Nasani, these guys that, Steve Gilbert at Tiff. And when you broke down their film, you got in the head of somebody that's really, really good. Right. And it not only allowed you to understand their tendencies, but it also allowed you to watch. Here's what a really great coach does on 3rd and 6. Here's a defensive call from a really great coach on 3rd and 3. So, that aspect of it, I think, is important too.
Well, no, I was really lucky because of recommendations, and I could teach English. But my first head football job, I was really young. What does a head coach, what do you look for in quality? If you were going to hire the head coach at Olentangy Liberty, your job, what do you look for, Steve, in a couple minutes?
Well, the funniest part of that is the basic questions of an interview. One, I'll just sit down with a guy in my office and I'll say, go up to the dry erase board and teach me something about football. I don't care what it is. Because in this aspect, 1, I'll see that what they're most confident in. 2, I'll see a teaching style. Okay. Because that person's going to drift right into a teaching style. And I want them to walk me through that. And then I want the ability to start questioning what they have up on a dry erase board to see how they respond if somebody questions what they believe to be true. Right. And then, that's really the big thing. And then the final question is, tell me a time that you really, really faced adversity and how you handled it. And that's all I ever ask guys when I'm in. That's it. That's all I want them to do. And then, outside of that, the loyalty factor is really important. Can they be part of a team? Can be an effective part of the team where they're a loyal soldier in the group, bought into this system. But other than that, those 3 things, that's all I ever. And I stumbled upon some of the greatest assistant coaches, that I could have imagined working with here over the last 20 years, just doing that.
Right. That's really good. It's good. Okay. Let's go to a couple of, when I do interviews with players, I call it scrapbook time.
Sure.
Scrapbook time. Look back and try to go 3 times that you will always remember. 3 big times that you'll always, and it's more than that. But just give me a couple. Give me 3 where you and your buddies at the Ohio State Clinic in 15 years from now, you'll sit around and laugh and say, do you remember those times? What would be 3? Is that fair or not?
Oh, no, that's really fair. I would say for me personally, 98 in Shelby, anything. Just that group of kids, my first head coaching job, the quality of people that I worked with up there and what we did that year. That all, and I hear a lot from those kids. Well, they're 40 years old now, but I hear a lot from them on Facebook and different things, even to this day.
That's so rewarding, by the way.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And there's a big that you mentioned, the new stadium in Shelby. There's a big picture of the '98 team because they donated part to the stadium, and I got to go up and see it next year. But I've seen it's really cool. Here at Liberty, the 04 season, when we had gone 1-9 in 2003 with no seniors, and we promised those kids that stayed, if they stayed and stayed connected to us, really good things would happen. And then they ended up being league champions and going to the playoffs the very next year. Wow. And then I think probably here at Liberty also, our first appearance in the Final Four. Our first appearance in the Final Four at Liberty was against St. Ignatius and Chuck Hale. Yeah. And for me personally, and I told Chuck this before the game, and I think he thought I was just, game stuff. But I said, when we met at midfield, there was, just he and I on the field. I said, Chuck, I want you to know this is a bucket list thing for me. I've watched your team play probably 30 times since 1989 in the state championship or state semifinals, and you are the one of the greatest coaches in the country. And my program at Liberty, with me at the helm, we're going to go against Chuck, Hale, and St. Ignatius. I said, this is truly a bucket list event.
I would tell you, knowing Coach Kyle as well as I do, he probably heard you, but he gets so zoned out like everybody else. He was probably thinking so much about the game. Yeah. I know it really, and you would be the same way, but he was so zoned out in a big game like that. It's really good. And he is, by the way, really good. Tell me, these are just silly questions. I blame coaches for the problems and football only, that football has with referees. I blame coaches more than parents. Do you think there's any truth to that?
Yeah. I struggled with that at times. There's probably about 20 to 25 coaches in the state that I probably owe a dinner or for me getting on them or making their job a little more difficult. That's part of it that, I'm probably not the most proud of, in my 20 years here at Liberty.
I think there are a lot. I've been on the sidelines for every game in 31 years that I go to, and I think that's a problem. But I don't know if you're quite in that upper echelon yet of giving people problems. But I complain about to the officials about it, to coaches rather than the fans. But I know we all get wired sometimes. Okay, spring football. Tell me what you can on your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that one's a really difficult one.
You're
here at Liberty,
you're retired, so you can say what? Go ahead.
Well, here at Liberty, we focused on our kids really being 3-sport athletes. We had over 75% of our players were 3-sport athletes, and I don't know that, because when it came out, and I still hadn't retired yet, I looked at it and I thought, we're not going to use a single second in May. There's no way, because we're not going to have any of our players. So they're either doing football, lacrosse, or track. And I think that's what's best for the kids. A lot of our guys, some of my best players over the year, they didn't go on to play college football. Mitch Oakley started in 3 Final Four games for us at quarterback. He's playing right field down at High State. Yeah. So giving these kids opportunities to do other things. And I told them all the time, I don't care if football's not your number one. It can be number 2. Shoot, we can be number 3. I don't care. So the spring ball thing, I think in some places, might be a benefit. And I know that there's a lot about kids and camps and colleges and all that kind of stuff. And I get that part of it. But if guys are really fired up about the spring football thing, I don't think that they're deep down in their heart, they're promoting 3 sports. I was just saying, if they're really fired up about having those dates in May and making those important days for their football program, I'm not so sure that they're 3-sport, 2-sport athlete guys. I think there might be promoting 365 football, and I don't know that that's best for the kids. I really don't.
Or the assistant coaches.
Oh, God, yeah.
You got to pay those guys. Okay, because I have definite feelings on it, but I don't have a horse in the race, so I can say anything. It's good. I think we're just about done. Comment on this for me.
Sure.
Lou Holtz once said, and I heard him say it at a clinic, by the way, East Liverpool?
100%, yeah.
You probably know where he grew up.
Oh yeah, the clock tower there in East Liverpool was mostly his doing.
He said if you can walk away from it and not walk away from football coaching, especially as a head coach, and not have withdrawal, not have all this stuff, then stay away. He said if you have withdrawal and everything, boy, you better look at it. You might want to get back. Okay. You're retiring. You have 34 years in, and you're told me you might be going into the private sector. Okay. Does that bother you that you might have withdrawal and want to get back into it?
Well, we'll see if that day comes. Right now, I feel really good about the body of work. I feel really good about what we did. I'm excited about having the opportunity, having some free Friday nights that I can go see some former players coach, go see some former assistants coach, stand down on their sidelines, just enjoy it. Maybe even slide over to a practice, during August and just kind of watch what's going on and kind of joke around with them. I'm excited about that part right now. There's a lot of it that I'm sure I'll miss significantly, but there's the difficult parts that you won't miss as much. And like you said, it's 24/7, 365 anymore. That's a lot. And so, I think the body of work is enough for me. I think that I'm excited about these opportunities to go see some of these other people do, the things that they developed either playing in our program or coaching in our program. And, I think that for me will be good enough. It might even be more reward than actually coaching those games on Friday night.
Coach Hale, great answer. I'm sorry, but I just losing it there. That's so spot on. Thank you very much for being on my program. Thank you for taking the time, and I really appreciate it. I have tremendous respect for you.
So I really appreciate that. I've always respected what you've done, John. All your stuff you put out there, the things you do for kids and not ask anything in return is amazing.